There's been a lot of talk in recent months about Hollywood's new movie, Wicked. And with that, it's made me realize that there's a very clear agenda being pushed on people. One that stems nearly a century back to The Wizard of Oz. It's very subtle and most people don't even realize that they've been influenced by it. But it's something that's radically changed the culture of movies and even the world in general. I'm sure many of you watching this will think I'm crazy after what I'm about to explain, but I just want you to hear me out because even though this might be a controversial video, this is something that I feel people really need to wake up to. Whether you realize it or not, movies are made to influence. You watch a movie to be entertained, but most movies also have a message that they're trying to convey to you. And when used correctly, they're a powerful tool for influencing and even brainwashing people to accept a message. But the problem comes when those messages just aren't good ones. And of course, everyone has different opinions, but from my perspective at least, a lot of these messages are actually really evil. And I've begun to realize that this problem of bad messaging all started with The Wizard of Oz. I don't think people even realize the impact this movie had on our culture, and let me tell you, it's not a positive one. I focus this channel mainly on animated movies, and unless you've seen my new channel, you probably aren't familiar with the theological opinions I hold, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them in the comments. I know my usual audience probably isn't used to hearing messages like this, and I know people may disagree with what I'm about to say, and if you do disagree, please just do it respectfully so we can have a conversation about it and I can answer any questions you might have. This video is meant to make people recognize that there's a belief system being pushed on you, and you may even call it a religion. It's the religious beliefs and philosophies of ancient paganism, and to some extent Eastern religions like Buddhism. Paganism is the belief in the supernatural without the need for an ultimate authority such as God, while Buddhists believe that each one of us hold the power within ourselves to achieve our desires without the need for a god. It's belief in the supernatural while removing God from the equation. What people don't realize is that most people hold on to these philosophies even if they don't realize it. And I blame this shift on the movie industry. It all stems back to The Wizard of Oz. Aside from being the first mainstream movie ever filmed in color, the genre was very different from anything that had been done before that. A growing trend was emerging to adapt fairy tales into movies. This era began 2 years earlier when Disney released Snow White. Compared to movies of its time, which were more serious and grounded in reality, fairy tales offered a way to entertain kids with more lighthearted themes and bright colors. But there's something people don't realize about fairy tales. Fairy tales are religious propaganda. Essentially all fairy tales you know are grounded in pagan beliefs. Like I said, it's belief in the supernatural while removing God from the equation. That's the religion The Wizard of Oz began to push, and we see its effects across the entire film industry today. This movie came out at a time when the large majority of Americans came from religious households. It was an intentional programming meant to move people away from their beliefs and accept as normal what the Bible calls evil. The entire plot of The Wizard of Oz was set into motion because Dorothy decided to visit a psychic, a practice directly condemned by the Bible. But does the story portray this man in a negative light? No, it actually makes it out to be as if this guy was the one who was just trying to help Dorothy. The manipulation is very obvious here. Now once she gets to the land of Oz, you'll notice that we have two witches, Glinda the Good Witch and Elphaba the Wicked Witch. But the problem here is that there's no such thing as a good witch. This promotion of witchcraft is a practice that once again is a direct attack on the religious beliefs of the time. It's subtly trying to change your perspective on witchcraft and think, maybe it isn't so bad, maybe there can be a good witch. Listen to what Glinda says here.
Witches are old and ugly.
I am a witch. I'm Glinda.
Oh, I beg your pardon, but I've never heard of a beautiful witch before.
Only bad witches are ugly.
She's telling the audience, witches don't have to be old and ugly, you can still be beautiful and be a witch. This is trying to break down the stereotype of what a witch is and promote a view that has more mass appeal. Disney pushed this agenda further by creating characters like the fairy godmother in Cinderella. So now instead of calling her a witch, they give her a title that sounds more endearing. But no matter how you slice it, she is a witch and she still is evil. Think about the term we use, magic. People won't even say witchcraft. People actually use the word magical as a positive adjective. They might say that an experience they had was magical. In fact, Disney built their entire brand around magic. This movie was the start of the push to get society to accept magic as a positive thing. It doesn't matter what way they disguise it, all magic is evil, period. And to the point of this video, witchcraft is a part of pagan philosophy. belief in the supernatural while removing God from the equation. And that's what you get here with these two witches and the push for their acceptance. And I also can't forget to mention that the shape of Glinda's wand is a star shape, which is an occult symbol in itself. It's not just these themes of magic that the Wizard of Oz normalized though. It programmed people with the entire philosophy of Gnosticism and Eastern religions. Either the belief that God just doesn't exist, or that he's an inferior being trying to control us. This was one of the first movies to have what you might call a moral of the story. I would even give it credit for inventing the template that we now call the hero's journey. The hero's journey was a new kind of message, one that tells people they don't need anybody directing their destiny and that your life is in your own hands. A message of self-empowerment. If you ask the average person today if that's a good message, chances are most people would tell you yes. I mean, what's wrong with encouraging people to follow their dreams? But this is only after a century of manipulating people to accept this message. The common belief held in the 1930s was that we should rely on God to provide for us, and that we should be thankful for what we have. These were the morals that the parents of that generation taught to their children. Really think about what it's trying to tell you. Dorothy enters the land of Oz, where everybody seems happy and content with their lives, until she comes across three characters that are unhappy with their state of living and want more. A Tin Man that wants a heart, a Scarecrow that wants a brain, and a Lion that wants courage. They're told about the Wizard of Oz and how great he is, how he'll grant any wish they ask of him. But once they reach him and he doesn't grant their request immediately, we're shown that his power was only an illusion, telling an entire generation of kids that their destiny lies in their own hands, and that they decide what they deserve. No need to wait on a wizard to grant your wish. It's a really entitled message when you think about it, and to my point, it's a direct attack against the religious beliefs of the time. The wizard is a fill-in for God, the one who decides what people deserve, and the movie is telling us that we don't need him to tell us what we deserve. Dorothy realizes that the wizard's power was only an illusion and he wasn't the almighty being they perceived him as. The main point that I want people to get out of this video is that we should really consider what ideas are being pushed on us when we watch a movie. You really have to sit back and evaluate what it's telling you. If we're not careful, we might fall victim to the propaganda machine of Hollywood. That's really all I have to say about this movie. I'll probably do a video on Wicked when that comes out of the movies. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and bye.